What's up, guys, and welcome to the Bearded Jeeper podcast. On this podcast, we'll talk about Jeeps, off-roading, overlanding, rock crawling, and much more. All right, guys, welcome to the first ever Bearded Jeeper podcast. This is the first episode, origin story, episode 1. I have for my guest today, FM Jeeper Mark, or FM Jeeping Mark, and he has a YouTube channel, a lot of cool stuff. So Mark, take a few seconds to introduce yourself, kind of give us the origin stories of who you are, what your channel's about, what you like to do, that kind of stuff.
Oh, well, thanks, Kyle, /Bearded Jeeper. Yeah, I'm FM Jeeping, although I call myself the FM Jeeper. My name is Mark. Right now, I live in Connecticut. I've been Jeeping probably for the better part of 3 years now. Been into Jeeps for a lot longer. I just never really got a chance to own one. My channel all kind of started a few years ago. I went wheeling, or we'll call it dirt road traveling, with a couple buddies. Decided to put a net together, threw it up on YouTube, and I was like, you know what? I want to do this more often. I had fun. My channel kind of evolved from there. It started off with just off-road adventures, turning into how-tos, turning into kind of a build vlog, tool reviews, product reviews, things like that. Mainly XJ stuff right now, but I do have some JK stuff, a little bit of everything.
A little mix of it.
Little mix of everything. Yeah.
Is this your first ever YouTube channel? You've never made one before?
I'd be lying if I said yes, that this is my first. I actually, I used to be into skating. I made a lot of skate videos back a long time ago, probably about maybe almost 20 years ago. So I uploaded a bunch of those to another channel, which I don't really upkeep, we'll call it. But yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to find a bunch of my old skate videos. Like, I always made them, but that was before YouTube, so they never made it to the internet. I did have another YouTube channel as well. It was kind of a fitness inspired YouTube channel. Not many people know about it. It was kind of awkward teenage years. I think you can still find it. I think it's still on the internet. It's was it Monstar Fitness, like Monster, but Monstar. And so if you want a good laugh, go check out that channel and how awkward I am on the camera. You think I'm awkward now, but come a far away from that.
Well, I'm sure it's not that bad, but definitely something I'm going to check out. I mean, you could say that about almost any YouTube channel. Like, and I know what was it? Napalm JL said the same thing in his introduction video. He's like, I can't even stand watching my earlier videos because it is just so cringeworthy. The being able to kind of converse on camera, not trip over your words.
It's definitely a skill that you kind of pick up as you go, and I feel like you get better. You don't notice it as much until you go and watch one of those older videos, and then you're like, oh wow, I put that on the internet.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was so camera shy for the first, I don't know, probably at least 25, maybe even 30 videos where I'm like, I'm not appearing on camera. You'll see my hands, you'll hear my voice, which I absolutely hate. Sorry, and that's it. And then somehow, some way, I got in front of the camera, and now you can't get me out from in front of it. So,
yeah, that was my hardest thing, I think, to overcome when first starting the YouTube channel, is like kind of getting your face on camera and really like putting yourself out there. Especially, not many people know, but on my beginning like YouTube videos, you'll see my teeth are a little less straight. And I went through Invisalign, and my teeth were always kind of like a self-conscious thing I had. And so now that they look better, they better for $5,000. And yeah, I think that kind of gave me a boost of confidence to kind of be better about posting stuff.
For me, it was just like, I guess I hit that point in my lifespan where I'm just like, I don't care. It's just, I'm now 40. So it is what it is, man. I've gone through this far into life. It is what it is. Just embrace it.
Especially with the internet, I think you really can't care what people think. Too many people are afraid of what people think. But like, even these big YouTubers, like I was watching Demolition Ranch, Matt. Well, it was his Off the Ranch YouTube channel, and he was saying that like he gets hate comments like almost every day, and it's just about kind of going through that and realizing that people that are posting that kind of negativity, that have the time to watch your video and then post that negative comment, like how bad they must be hurting and what they must be going through to kind of lash out like that. You don't just lash out if you're in a good mood and you're happy. You want to bring that happiness with people, but negativity just drags everyone down.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a big concern of mine when I first started posting, was just like, what type of negative, comments am I going to get back? I'm waiting for the, you're doing that wrong. That looks like crap. Like, those type of negative comments. I mean, up until I think really the last video that I put out last week, I didn't even really post many of my welds, just because I was waiting for those weld scholars to chime in and,
oh, they're brutal too.
You're awful. Like, yes, I know, but that's why it's kind of fun to just embrace it. Like, hey, I preface that in a lot of my videos now. It's just like, listen, I don't know everything. I'm going to make mistakes, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are afraid to show stuff because they don't want to be judged. But it's like somebody may be not a professional welder or fabricator, and they may learn a lot from your video. They may be not as far along as you are, and your one video kind of pushes them to do more on their own.
Absolutely. I mean, some of the guys I watch on YouTube, I watch like Muddy Beards, Dirt Lifestyle and things like that. And just seeing, Nate admits when he makes mistakes as well. I think Kelly does too. And Robbie on Muddy Beards. And it's good. It's a teach point. Not everybody, if you're perfect all the time, then you're probably not trying hard enough, or you're not challenging yourself enough. And, I feel so much more challenged now with Jeeps, because I used to build other types of cars, and I've never wanted to try to fabricate things. I've never wanted to try doing gears or rebuilding engines nearly as much as I do now, because I see so many people out there trying to do it, and I want to try to achieve the same stuff that they do. And I learn from their mistakes along the way.
Yeah, and I think having a vehicle that's not your daily driver, at least to me, it seems like it's a less stressful thing. Is your Jeep your daily, or
no way?
No, I didn't think so. But because if I do anything on my JK, that's my daily. I have to get it back together before the weekend's over, or I can't drive to work on Monday morning. So it's like really stressful. But with the Project Jeep, I found I can take my time. If I screw up something, I have time to go back and fix it, and it's a lot more enjoyable, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's definitely a scenario you got to consider, because I know there's a lot of people out there who modify and wheel their daily drivers, and the hats off to you. Those are the guys who kind of get the most praise. The guys who drive it to the trail, beat the crap out of it, and drive it home. I can break mine. I feel bad about it, but I could tow it home and I'll be okay. I can get to work the next day. So hats off to those guys.
Yeah, like when I snapped my front axle in half, that I had to call out of work the next day because it took us so long to get it off the trail. And lucky enough, we could drag it off the trail, but then still had to put it back together, drive my wife's Jeep for a while. And it was a good probably 2 weeks before I had it back on the road. And that was only in 2-wheel drive. I didn't have any gears in the front. I just put the axle underneath so I could drive it.
Did you have to leave it overnight?
Sort of.
On the trail?
Yeah, we were going to swap the axle right there on the trail, but it ended up, it was like muddy and still a little snowy in the woods there. So it was just going to be a horrible situation. We had a buddy actually drop off the axle. He went to my house. I happened to have a spare Dana 30 without any gears in it, just at the house. And we were ready to do an axle swap right there in the woods, which would have been horrible. We were all tired, been there a whole day. So we decided once we get out of the woods, got all the other rigs out of the woods, we drove home. We only got to sleep for like a couple hours. Then we were meeting the guy who came with the tow truck, and he dragged us out of the woods. And then my buddy had AAA and called him, and we were able to get it back to the house. Luckily, the trail was only like an hour away, so AAA just towed it home.
Oh, nice. Well, not nice, but I'm glad it all worked out.
Yeah, it was a lot of like good, like that's where the Jeep community really comes in, and it's strong and just kind of shows how I guess generous the Jeep community is. Everyone was willing to lend a hand to get it out of the woods. They knew it was my daily driver. They knew I had to get it home and stuff. So they were doing anything they could, calling in favors to be able to get it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a real cool thing. And that's actually one of the things that drew me to, drew me to the Jeep community is just the Jeep community. I actually had a breakdown on my Bell not too long ago, and like this guy's like, "Oh, you need a jack?" Another guy's like, "Hey, do you have a spare axle shaft?" I'm like, I forgot it at home. Guy legitimately just handed me a spare axle shaft for a Dana 30. I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. I actually got to give it back to him, but or at least give him one in return. But I mean, it was super cool. Everyone was willing to help. People helped rig up, the high lifts and stuff, and kept me company while I was fixing the Jeep. So it was pretty cool. Very supportive, and that's what I like about the community.
I've also noticed a lot of the community too. Like someone breaks and like before you even get out of your vehicle, there's like 10 hands like trying to help fix it before you even get out. And it's just like, it's so quick to like start helping and diagnosing, figuring out what's wrong.
Yeah, definitely good people. I mean, it has its share of not so great people, but I mean, it has a great number of really good people, really supportive people. So.
All right. So to turn gears a little bit, you also have a Cherokee project that you're working on.
Yes.
We're both building Cherokees on tons at this point, and it's kind of like almost a race to see who's going to get done first. I think you're beating me as far as what you've got done.
Not so much. I think you seem more driven than I do. I want to get it done, but at the same time, I just finding time to do it. And I, 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 I did the bad thing. I started on the front. You started on the rear. Your rear's almost done. My front's still got a few more hours.
Yeah. Well, you also already had a better base, I think, with the you already have frame stiffeners and everything. And
oh yeah.
I'm getting ready to weld on the mids, and then I have the rears I got to weld on. Then I can finally start mocking that rear axle up and going from there. But long process for sure.
Yeah, and you got to remember too is I've been wheeling this thing probably for about 2-3 years now. You kind of just started within the last year or so.
Yeah, I've really started to push within the last year. What I get it last year or the year before or something, and it was so kind of in shambles. It wasn't running. I had to get the whole front end together, so it doesn't look like much now, but it's come a far way from when I first picked it up. So
the ramen topped it off.
Yeah, the ramen definitely helped. If you guys haven't seen that, I made a video where I fixed the header panel with ramen noodles, and it's still holding to this day. So all those haters out there saying you can't fix a Jeep with ramen noodles, you can do it.
That was classic, man.
So the Cherokees was your first Jeep though, or?
It was the first Jeep I owned, yeah. Still is the first Jeep I own or only own. I'm looking to buy something else. I'd love to get probably a JK as a daily. Don't know if that's in the cards right now. Owning a Cherokee, I kind of want a trailer and a tow vehicle. So, because I guess a XJ on tons wouldn't be very fun to travel long distance with.
Yeah, nor street legal. I don't know about yours, but mine's not going to be street legal at all.
I'm trying to keep it street legal as possible for as long as possible because I still have the kids. They're still a little young. I wheel with them just about every time I go out. So I'm trying to keep it as intact as possible for as long as possible.
Do you have to cover the fenders or the tires in Connecticut too, right?
They say so, but depends on what you do to kind of tick off the cop, I guess.
What about like inspection?
Nope.
You guys don't have inspections, do you? Or
just emissions.
Just emissions?
Yep, that's it.
That's lucky. We have to do inspections every single year on your birthday.
That sucks. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, and it's the inspections and the emissions. But like if I was to do the Cherokee, it's over so many years old. I think it's over 20 years old. You don't have to get emissions. You just have to get the safety stuff done.
For us, I think it's 25. At 25, it's no emissions, so that's coming up pretty quickly for me. I think I have one more test and I'm done.
I wonder what I have to do to register it as an antique, because then you don't need like seat belts and like you don't have to do as many of the safety things. So I'm wondering if that could be a loophole that I could drive it on the streets.
Worth the look, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. I don't know the whole legality of that, and now announcing it on the podcast, I'm sure that's gonna get out into the world, and people are gonna be like, "No, you can't do that."
Oh yeah, someone will definitely comment, but it's okay. It's all good as long as it's good information.
Yeah, somebody will tell me. I'm sure. So, favorite trail that you've been on, like in your Jeep wheeling, doesn't even have to be you drove on it. Maybe you rode with someone. Like favorite trail, and then like also your hardest trail.
Hardest trail. See, I haven't been around a lot. Like I haven't kind of ventured outside of the Mass Connecticut border. I'd have to say actually probably my funnest it was not even the trail, it was more the people I was with. It's a tough call. I've been on some good ones. There's a guy who has a private property down in the southern part of Connecticut. His property is fun. It's small, but you can get into a lot of trouble pretty quick, and it's fun. Hardest trail? I would say one where you can probably Chutes and Ladders, and that's in the same area because everything is off camber. Everything is off camber. Like you come down off some steep rocks off camber all the time. But I'm starting to venture out a little bit more because like I'm still a newbie to this really. I'm hoping to hit Old Florida Road this weekend. I wish I could have met up with you on that one.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I actually might be going Sunday, possibly. Not 100% sure yet. See how willing I am to smash up my Jeep.
Yeah, I heard that one's pretty rough.
The real rough part's that first like gatekeeper obstacle. It's just a giant boulder, and there's very few rigs that get up it easily. And I think I've only ever seen one get up it the first try, like no trouble at all. It's depending on your line, you could see some damage.
That's what it's there for. Hey,
now, I think there's a couple other obstacles, but then the rest of the trail's not too bad. Like if you handled Ma Bell, Old Florida Road's not too bad. It's like just a couple big obstacles, and then the rest is like just a dirt trail basically.
So the other reason why I'm trying to get out there too is I heard that the state is buying all the land around it and ultimately probably going to close it down. So that's why I want to get out there ASAP because
because I know it's private land, like all completely around it, and like even some of the bypasses are technically private land, and people are going and ripping those up, and then people are getting mad, and only takes one. Yeah,
unfortunately, I mean, we're losing all the good ones, at least near me, and you're like, that's probably like kind of halfway point between me and you, I think, like roughly. So.
Well, you'll have to come up this neck of the woods and do some wheeling. We don't have some like crazy extreme trails, but I would say some of the trails around me are like a little less than Ma Bell, like not as extreme as Ma Bell, but they're still pretty decent for being in my backyard, and we could hit all three in one day kind of thing.
Nice. Yeah, I gotta talk the wife into watching the kids for a weekend so I can get up there and check out Vermont. No, New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, yeah. We could check out some trails in Vermont too, because I'm basically right on the border of New Hampshire and Vermont. Like it's just across the river, and you're in Vermont. I actually work a little bit in Vermont when I go to our steel warehouse and stuff like that. So
nice. Yeah, I definitely want to get up there. I've heard good things. I just haven't been up there.
Yeah, I think I've wheeled in quite a few states. I don't think I've wheeled in Connecticut though. Is it mostly private land?
It's pretty much all private land. Anything that is legal, and there's so few of them, is really just it's a glorified dirt road. Maybe.
Yes, not worth it kind of thing.
And I'm going to catch hell for saying that out loud, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how built your vehicle is. Like your opinion on different trails changes. Like if you're just a stock Jeep, like you might think one of those trails is like the hardest thing ever. But then
Yeah.
once you start lifting a little, it's your perspective changes really quickly.
Let me ask you this: did you get into Jeep or wheeling? And is your idea of wheeling roughly the same, or are your goals the same? Let's just say that. Like, kind of give you an example. I got in it to do more weekend wheeling, kind of glorified dirt roads slash camping, and now I was like, I'll never do rock bounce, and I never want to do crazy deep mud things. And now I'm like, rocks. I want bigger or better. Let's go. Let's do it.
Well, it's definitely changed over the years. Like I wanted to like wheel my rig and drive it home, daily driver. Like I thought like, oh, trailer queens, like that's not for me. And now that I have what's going to be a trailer queen, like I want to hit like that. That's part of the reason I'm building it too, is to have something that's not a daily driver. I can wheel the crap out of it and not have to worry about it. Just drag it to the trailer, get it home, and we're good. But I just wanted to hit. I've progressively wanted to hit harder and harder obstacles, and I'm reaching limits on what certain vehicles will do. And I mean, my JK, I'm not gentle on, and I've really, really pushed the limits. Like that last set of trails, I went up to Jericho. It's a state park up at the northern part of New Hampshire.
Yep.
Real nice trail system. They're trying to open more trails in the park. It's a lot of ATV stuff now.
Yeah.
But that was some of the hardest wheeling that I've done personally so far. And I was the only one to drive my Jeep there and drive it home where everyone else trailered. So it's kind of nice feeling that way, and you don't have to load up and everything. But then again, I wanted to hit stuff a little harder than I did, because then I wouldn't have to worry.
Right. Yeah. You just limp off the trail, get it on the trailer, and call it a day. There's no like, crap, how am I going to get home type of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely changes your perspective. But some people get wheeling and they don't like it. It's kind of a mixed thing, I think. If you like it, you kind of go all in, or if you don't like it, you like my wife, she hates it. She's been with me a few times. I have to give her credit. She actually did go on a couple of smaller trails with me, but she was so uncomfortable the whole time. Anytime the Jeep tipped a little, she was freaking out. So it's definitely not her cup of tea.
Same. I've taken my wife on a couple, and even on like stuff that I don't even consider like rough. She's like, ooh, like tightening up, holding on to the grab handles and stuff. I'm like, what? Like,
yeah, well, we just hit a bump. Like that's a rock.
Especially like what she would call, like just a slight tilt of the Jeep. She's like, oh my God, we're going to flip. I'm like, it's nothing, but
Yeah.
It's definitely different if you drive too. So
Yeah, if you're a passenger, it feels completely different. You don't have as much to hold on to. When you're the driver, you're like, what you're going to hit and where you're going to turn and lean. So you're like prepared for it.
yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of like wheeling and New England and stuff, this is kind of going to be a bold statement. I think the East Coast has tougher wheeling than the West Coast. I'm going to call it now. Just because I haven't personally wheeled at the West Coast, so I can't say for sure. They have a lot more off camber stuff, but on the East Coast, we have that off camber stuff, but it's wet, sticky mud like you can't go on a trail where you don't go through a mud puddle first or at some point, and it makes it slick, where out West, it's more like sandpaper. You have more grip and traction.
All right. In an effort not to cause a complete uproar, I'll definitely say that the wheeling is completely different. And it's funny you touched on this, because even I was going to poke the question to you, see what you say.
I love bringing it up. It's got to be brought up. I want to get this discussion going, so I'd love to hear what people say about this too.
So I know A Way of Life came out here, and I know that he's one person, and he brought a bunch of guys from the West Coast out here. They did Ma Bell, they did Old Florida Road, and they struggled. Like, not struggled. They even said it. They're like, it's rough. You can get on a line, you move 2 inches, and all of a sudden your front tires are sliding off and your line is blown. and now you have to kind of change on the fly, back up, do it again. I want to say it's definitely a different type of wheeling. I would almost say that I think East Coast guys could probably go out west and do pretty good. I think the West Coast guys over here would struggle. But once again, I've never wheeled the West Coast. I don't know. I'm just saying it's definitely a different type of wheeling. You got to be prepared for mud, rocks, ice, snow. It depends on where you go, when you go.
Well, they took the Ultimate Adventure over to New England. I think of one of these last ones, and they hit up like Ma Bell, Old Florida Road. They hit up Rocky Mountain Terrain Park up in Maine, which is that's gnarly up there. That like a lot of their trails aren't labeled super well, and you can like get turned around, and you're like, wow, this is a hell of a trail. I think they're working on like labeling more, but it's just some massive rocks and. They were having so much trouble, like up at Rocky Mountain Terrain Park. That I was talking to the people that run that when we went up there, and they said, yeah, they spent like almost the whole day just on the one trail, and then they had to like turn around and come back out. A lot of them because they couldn't make it through. And I'm just thinking, wow, if they couldn't make it through, I don't know if I could ever make it through, kind of thing.
Well, it's totally. I think it has a lot to do with where you wheel primarily. You think about the Pacific Northwest. They deal with a lot of mud, a lot of rain, a lot of.
They're very similar to us. They're. I would almost consider them more like East Coast wheeling.
Yeah.
And when I say West Coast, it's kind of like I'm thinking more like Moab and like the dry desert rock and
Arizona, New Mexico, that type of
that kind of thing. Like nothing to do with mud or anything.
Like I said, to each his own, and it really all depends on where you live, how you build your Jeep, what you build it for. There's guys who set up their Jeeps to run on sand. Dune guys. It all depends on what you want to wheel and what you want to wheel the most of. So,
yeah, and then you have those people like down in Florida that like lift their Jeeps like 100 feet in the air and just go bombing through the mud at 100 miles an hour and get soaking wet and just get hammered and have fun down there. And then you have people up here that do our kind of wheeling, West Coast wheeling. Like I'm sure it'd be cool to wheel in other countries, see how their wheeling is and what they have like for it. I don't see too much from other countries.
A guy on Instagram follows me. I swear he's from like Russia or Czech, somewhere over there. And he does a lot of cool wheeling. It looks very similar to ours, like mud and rocks and some steep hills. But it's interesting to see other people do it. So.
Yeah, it always kind of has me curious too to maybe have someone on the podcast here that is from one of those like a different country, like outside the U.S. and figure out like what the regulations are on trails in their country and like what they can do to their Jeeps. Like some people like Australia, New Zealand and stuff. I know it's kind of difficult down there, I've heard, and you can only do so much, and then it's hard to find trails to go on. So be really interesting to get other people's point of view on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we might have been talking on the 4X podcast about it too, but I think like and correct me if I'm wrong, New Zealand or Australia, I think you can only run like 33-inch tires max on the road, and that kind of limits what you can do. I mean, 35s is kind of like the norm, I guess now. Like it's average, and everything above that is a bonus.
Well, and also too, like just importing like Jeeps down there or parts or like, I think I follow this one guy. I think he's on Instagram. He's from like Korea, and it takes a lot longer to get parts there. They can't always get the same parts, and it's just a whole kind of different outlook on it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think Australia's a lot of Toyotas too, like Land Cruisers and Suzuki's and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's more popular than the kind of Jeep culture out there. Do you wheel mostly with Jeeps, or do you have like kind of a mix of a lot of different things? Or
I mean, mainly it's Jeeps. I have wheeled with other vehicles. I went to Ma Bell, an old Chevy K 1500, something like that. I'm not very well versed with that, but It was interesting to watch, just him just crawling up everything in this big, gigantic vehicle. But typically it's Jeeps. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, I especially nowadays, like when I first started wheeling years ago, there was like more XJs and ZJs and stuff like that, and some of the old YJs and older Jeeps. And ever since the JK came out, it seems like everyone's wheeling a JK or JKU or now JL and Gladiators and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think the JK really kind of put a resurgence into the off-road community. Because those are very capable Jeeps right off the showroom floor. Probably up until the JL. Probably, you could wheel that thing right off the showroom floor, depending on how far you want to push it. Just like any Jeep, but people people smarter than me, more well-versed than me, said that, the JK is definitely more capable than, say, the TJ, the previous Jeep.
And you just have so much more like cabin space for, like, especially a lot of people are buying the 4-doors because that way you can have your whole family out there wheeling with you. You don't have to try to cram people in that little tiny back seat that they all come with.
Yeah, I don't envy anybody wheeling for hours on end in the back of a TJ, that's for sure.
Yeah, like even a JK, like I took my rear seat out. I have the 2-door, and it's just like nobody was ever gonna be comfortable sitting in that back seat for more than 20 minutes max. Like there's just no leg room at all.
Yeah, I don't think they were really designed to. They're there to say, yeah, you can fit 4 people in this, but not very comfortably.
Yeah, even my wife's JKU, like I've actually wanted to get those. They have those little like wedge pieces you put behind the rear seat to kind of angle it a little better so it's more comfortable to sit in.
Yep.
It's still not a ton of space back there for the rear seats at all.
And that's kind of why I went with like my choice of the XJ, just because, I have 3 kids. I had to find the best of both worlds. I wasn't affording a JK at the time, and I wanted a wheel, and I wanted something cheap. That's why I picked up the XJ.
Yeah, I can't imagine these people that are buying these like Gladiators and JLs that are like getting up towards $100,000 and they're going and beating them in the woods. Like I felt bad enough taking my JK, which was now 30 something thousand, and beating that out in the woods. And I'm glad it's paid off now. But yeah, I don't think I could deal with like doing a like $500-$600 payment and still beating it out in the woods.
It's amazing because it's big business, man. There's a bunch of shops. One sponsors a group that I'm in here in Connecticut, ACI. I mean, they'll literally sell you the Jeep, and then they throw a catalog in front of you and say, like, they'll say like, "Hey, I want something. I want something on my Jeep." They're like, "What do you want? We can do it." And like literally, come back tomorrow. We'll lift your Jeep. We have 35s all the way up to 40s. Long arms, suspensions. Reservoir shocks, all this other stuff.
Name it.
Name it. It's like literally, it's like Legos, and it's big money, man. Like people are picking up brand new Gladiators on 38s, lifted 3-4 inches, like day one, and I'm like, wow, like that's crazy. And
you're a lot of money to drop.
That's a lot of money, and that's kind of why also I went cheap. Like you said earlier, it's like you go out into the trail and you want to thrash on this thing, but you're worried because you have to either drive it home or you don't want to dent it. You're still paying on it. You don't want to bash it up for whatever reason. That's kind of why I went essentially a cheaper vehicle. If I break it, I can probably go find another XJ for under $1,000.
Yeah, like you can find XJs typically in decent shape from anywhere from $500 to like $1,500, I would say. And then like what we're doing, building us a nice set of 1-ton axles. Say we completely destroy the Jeep, those axles are still going to be great. You take them out and the axles and tires and just throw them under a new Jeep, and you're all set to go. $500 or something.
And not only that, if it's an XJ, it'll fit under a TJ, no problem. It'll bolt up.
Yeah.
Some minor tweaks here and there, or you take it with you to the next Jeep, cut off the brackets, put them. You're already there. Like most of the hard work is done. just cutting off the truss and stuff. But
yeah, the longest part of the XJ is those stupid frame stiffeners, how much welding and stuff that is.
been there, man. Been there.
Yeah. This is my first ever set welding them on, and it's like I've only done the fronts so far, and I got burned like 3 times. So I'm looking forward to the mids. See how much I can get burnt this time.
Yeah, I don't miss that. I commented that on my last video.
Yeah, I remember that.
Full apron, the welding scully cap or whatever, like mask, obviously because you need the mask, gloves, sleeves. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I mean, I still have scars from when I welded my last one, so I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, I actually had like a hot coal go like through my like new welding jacket and like left a good old scar like right on my collarbone, and I was like, just oh no, that's it, it's like it just kind of, you feel it touch and it's hot and it goes in there and then you can't like get it out once it's like inside your clothes.
If you feel it, it's already too late. Like, unfortunately, it's gonna burn you, man. I had one. I was talking to Nate SWB Crawler once, and he had something similar. I had a small amber somehow get into my ear. Luckily, it didn't do much. It zinged me real good, and luckily, it kind of petered out before it caused any real damage.
Yeah, I keep hearing that, and I'm like, I should be wearing some kind of earplugs when I'm doing this, so it burns that instead of my ear canal or something.
Yeah, probably wouldn't hurt. Well, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely learned to make sure you have a fire extinguisher in there, because back when I was welding the fronts on, I had left a rag and that I had cleaned off the metal before I was welding. And I just left it sitting on the ground and spark hit it and caught it on fire, melted the wheel on one of my rolling carts and stuff. So never can be too careful when you're doing that kind of stuff in a garage.
Yeah, I had to use mine. Doing the floor pans. I punched through a soft spot of metal, hit a brake line, which melted it. Because it's all it took was one little zap, and it popped it open. And then I started welding, and it lit up, and it would not go out. Like, you know how like if you light something on fire, you could just tap it out and it goes out. It tapped it. Spread it, tapped it some more, spread it more. I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to burn down my house. Grab my fire extinguisher out of the back of my Jeep, sprayed it down. So now I got 2. I got one on my board. I got 2 on my workbench and then one in the Jeep.
Yeah, it's definitely like if you have any kind of like flammable liquid that you're working near, that's why I'm like gonna get like some kind of welding blanket, I think, or protect like, because when you're doing that one side of the frame stiffeners, you have the brake lines and the gas line, and there's a couple different other lines that are like all running on that driver's side frame rail there. So I'm real worried about that.
Yeah, are you going to do the rear?
Yeah, I'm going to do the rear too.
Yeah.
Like, I already got those, and I just got to put them in.
I did that one last, but I found that one was the easiest one.
Oh, well, I'm working my way back then to the easy one. I'm good with that. I figured I'll be a professional welder by the time I get to that. Well, not professional, but a lot better.
You'll definitely have some hours under your belt when you get there.
Yeah, and like a lot of people are afraid to start welding, and I was kind of hesitant at welding at first, but then you just got to start. You got to start somewhere. Start just laying down practice beats, and I've seen how I've slowly gotten better, and now that I have a gas bottle, night and day difference. But yeah, like I was amazed. I knew people were saying like, oh yeah, you'll notice like it'll change your welds completely, and like I was getting really good at flux core, where like you just chip off the slag, and it was looking pretty decent. And I'm like, oh okay, I think I can move to. I want to try gas now. I switched to gas, and immediately I was just blown away at how better it looked.
I find if you can lay some good beads with flux core, like nice looking beads with flux core, you can really kick ass with gas.
Yeah, it's like actually it's surprising too. Like it's not only like that you can weld cleaner, it's the amount of smoke on flux core and being able to see the puddle. You don't realize how difficult it is until you switch to gas, and you're like, there's like no smoke. I can see where I'm moving the puddle, and I can see like what I'm doing. So it's a a lot helpful, really helpful.
Yeah. That's definitely key. Yeah, I don't miss doing flux at all.
Yeah, I definitely, I don't think I'm ever going to go back unless I'm like welding outside, super windy, or I can't bring my gas bottle because I got that huge one, and
Yeah,
I don't see any reason to go back.
I got a 302 and it's like bear hugging. Like I have, I hate to say I have it on a Harbor Freight welding cart and that thing is screaming every time I move it. I can just see the wheels bowing. I'm like, I'm waiting for this thing to fall over.
That's what I have mine on, that the cheapest little Harbor Freight welding cart. And like, it's a trick getting it onto there. Cause like it's hard to like just bear hug it and put it on there. What I found the trick is you kind of lay the bottle down gently and then tilt it up and then just kind of wiggle it on. I had my wife like hold the cart still so it wasn't going to move as I was pushing it, but definitely a difficult thing.
But it's nice not having to run out every other week.
Oh yeah, I'm glad I went with the bigger bottle, because I mean I'd probably get away fine with like the 80 and stuff, and it'd be easier to like just drop off and get filled. But I don't think it's. I've been welding quite a bit and practicing, and then also the front frame stiffeners, and I haven't even used like a quarter of the bottle. So
yeah, that'll last you quite a bit. So you're good.
Yeah, I thought I wasn't sure how long it would last when I first got it. So I'm like, am I going to use this up really quickly? And nope, it lasts a long time.
Yeah. I probably won't go back to this. I have a small bottle that came with my welder, and I usually use that first, or I use it while I get the other one refilled. So it's kind of like on off type of thing.
Yeah, so you kind of like, it's your emergency bottle. Like it's like 8:00 at night and you're welding something. You're like, crap, I ran out of gas. Oh wait, I have this little bottle.
Yep, just enough to get me through till I get my other one refilled. So
I just need to go work for like Air Gas or something to get a crazy discount or something on it, and then I wouldn't have to worry about it. Yeah. I wonder what they get for a discount working there.
Or just get into a fab shop and then just have them buy your gas.
Hey, you want to fill my bottle for me? Alrighty, so I guess we'll call it here. I don't know how long it's been, half hour, 45 minutes, hour. I don't have a timer on here, but
probably about a half an hour. We didn't get the hey, you've used your 40-minute warning yet, so we're okay.
Oh, true. Yeah, I wanted to keep these relatively short so people don't get completely bored. And if you guys like this podcast, this is just episode 1, and we're going to have a whole bunch of other guests on here, and a whole bunch of other Jeepers, YouTubers, fabricators, you name it. If you want to be on here, shoot me an email at thebeardedjeeper@gmail.com, and we'll work out a time. We're using Zoom to do these video chats. I'll do the audio as a podcast, and then I will post it on YouTube as well. So in case people want to see it on there or listen to it on there, they can. So huge thanks to Mark for taking the time out of his day to join us on episode 1 of the podcast. You're the first podcast. So it's if this one was a little weird and awkward, it can only go up from here. So what can people expect from your channel if they're never heard of you, and like give them like a promotion to why they should come check out your channel?
Okay, so really what you can expect from me is mainly right now XJ content. Started off with mostly bolt-ons, kind of factory add-on, things like that, some product reviews, kind of simple basic maintenance. Now I'm kind of getting more into fabrication, kind of in the pipeline, or just recently did some 2x6 rock slider install. That was kind of custom. I've got some, making my own shackle relocation brackets, 1 tons, kind of like you, as well as making my own bumper, my own rear bumper, and I'm working on a cage. I'm working on doing a cage. I'm trying to work with a company to see if they can help me out with that.
Are you going to do an exo cage or like kind of hybrid cage, or?
I'm going to do the hybrid cage because I like the space inside the vehicle, because as much as there is space in that vehicle, there's not a lot of space in that vehicle, and I like the space I do have. So I'm probably going to do EXO. I'm sorry, hybrid.
Yeah, I've heard that's the strongest kind of cage to kind of going into the body, and it just kind of holds everything together. It really stiffens up the kind of loose Cherokee, as if you will.
Yeah, so do those frame stiffeners.
Yeah, that's going to make that thing a world of difference.
Oh, it does. It does. So, yeah, so that's kind of it. I mean, really just upward progression. My Jeep started as kind of like an everyday XJ Jeep, and I'm slowly turning it into probably a crawler, hopefully in the next few years, little by little. Just trying to take it to the extreme and get bigger and better every time.
That's all it takes, is you got to do a little bit at a time. So if you guys check out FM Jeeping on YouTube, and we'll put links to all his social media in the show notes if I can figure out how these show notes actually work. There'll be links somewhere so you can go check out and support him, support everyone that comes on this podcast. We all start somewhere, and he's putting it out there on the line, putting his fabrication work, his Jeep stuff, his reviews, like everything. It takes a lot of courage to put stuff out on the internet. So let's support each other and go subscribe and follow and like and do all the social media things on his channel. So thanks for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed it, make sure you share it with a friend. And remember, guys, stay bearded, stay Jeepin'. I'm out.